Tucci, and you are watching Gov's Radio. This is where you go if you want to see something or if you want to hear something funny. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, this is a joke I told. What? I'm not on Gov Radio? Call the police. Call my agent.
Tony, welcome to Go.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
I gotta pat you down though, pal.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Got anything on you? Anything I should know?
I got nothing.
Anything weird going on?
What?
Alright, you go in, Tony.
Good. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Tom Kelly of The Tom Kelly Show. Yes, this is not the only time I've gotten on my knees in the back room of a comedy club.
The Knockem Dead Comedy Radio Show is also brought to you by Two Eagles Auto Body. For more than 25 years, Two Eagles Auto Body has been the leader in auto body repairs and customer satisfaction on Long Island. Two Eagles Auto Body handles every type of auto repair from custom applications and restorations to repairs involving insurance claims. Give Two Eagles Auto Body a call and please ask for John Rossi at 516-328-2527. That's 516-328-2527.
Hey, how do you say there, people? It's Johnny Brennan, creator of the Jerky Boys, also of Fox TV's Family Guy fame. I just want to let you know you're listening to Tony on the Knockem Dead Radio Show. They're gonna keep knocking them dead, so keep listening, you wacky sons of bitch. Right there. Over and out there, sweet Charlie.
Long time no see, man. Hey, man, I miss you guys, man, at Knockem Dead Comedy Radio.
Hey Tony, you're not funny, and you probably shit yourself a lot, and you're no fun to be with, and you don't make that much money, and you're not going anywhere in show business, and I hope you get hit by a bus.
all your friends. The party never ends. Not
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Welcome to the Knockem Dade Comedy Show here on Gov's Comedy Club Podcast. The Facebook page, the YouTube channel. Please follow please follow the Facebook page. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I don't know what I'm talking about. Please follow the Facebook page. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share the links on all your socials to the show. Tell everybody you know about all the great shows here at Gov's Comedy Club Podcast. Why am I talking so fast? Please tell everyone you know about all the great shows here at Gov's Comedy Club Podcast. Share the shows all over the place. We appreciate the support. We appreciate if we post our shows onto a page you run. We appreciate that. We appreciate everything. Thank you so much. The Knockem Dade Comedy Show. We are coming at you live from Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, the legendary Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. And once again, we're on Gov's Comedy Club Podcast. We're on Facebook and YouTube. If you'd like to comment and be a part of today's show, you want to hear your name and your comments read live on the show, please head over to the YouTube feed, because that is where we monitor the comments, like John Rusiello has done. Good morning, Tony. Hope you had a great weekend. Well, we all, I think, had a kind of a weird weekend, didn't we? Thanks for that segue, John. Yeah. In fact, I was going to ask you guys, those of you who are watching, I was going to ask you guys for kind of like your vote. Do we want to get into everything from this weekend? Or do we just want to talk about other things? I'm not really sure what to do. I have thoughts on the weekend. I have thoughts about, what happened on Saturday, like everybody else does. And I'm sure my thoughts are not anything that the rest of you haven't thought about. So I don't think I would say anything you haven't already thought about or haven't already talked about. If you guys want to talk about it, I'm happy to do it. If anybody wants to call in, there's the phone number right there. If anybody wants to call in to talk about that or talk about anything. I'm all by my lonesome today, so I'm up for anything you'd like to talk about. John says, let's do it. Okay. Well, he's the only vote I got so far. So far, we're good to go. Well, I'll mention the other sad things from this weekend before we get into all that, the craziness of Saturday. But, we lost Dr. Ruth Westheimer. We lost Shannon Doherty, which is a shame. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I was a fan of her work. I didn't watch 90210. I honestly don't know anything else about her, to tell you the truth. But between her age and how she died, it's just a really sad thing. All right, John's calling in already. He's raring to go, I bet. First things first, how are you feeling?
I'm talking to you, so that's always a plus. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to break the ice, Tony.
Fine.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So what happened over the weekend to a presidential candidate, and I'm not going to be partisan of this, it's a presidential candidate, was horrific.
Yes.
To say the least. But what the American government is doing, they're spending millions and millions of dollars for investigations and Congress committees to find out what the problem was, how this happened. It's very simple. All right. Anybody in law enforcement will tell you this. It's very, very simple. The Secret Service dropped the ball. And how they dropped the ball is, and for the people, your listeners that don't know, any dignitary, whether it be a presidential candidate, the Pope, a queen, any dignitary that comes to visit the United States or has any kind of a rally, the Secret Service sends an advance team out.
Yes.
It's usually a week or two, and the advance team has a tremendous responsibility. The first thing the advance team does is peruse the area, all right, and look for all the hot spots. The second thing they do is confer with state and local authorities Not only the police department, the fire department, EMS, the hospitals. All right. Then they make a contingency plan. All right, and I can go on and on and on, but I'm giving you just a little background
Right.
on what's done. And Tony, you know, I've been involved in this for many, many years.
Yes.
Whether it was the private sector or my job. So the advance team either did not see this, which I can't believe they didn't see it, or they shunned it. Everybody's saying, well, they didn't have enough security, they didn't have drones, they didn't have this. You don't need that. We never had drones. We never had. The bottom line is this, all right? They dropped the ball. And they're going to put the blame on this poor local cop that said that they went up there and he talked to the guy. All right, I know they're going to throw the axe at this poor guy, which he deservedly so, but it would have never happened if the Secret Service did the job. All right, and why are we going to spend millions of dollars to find this out? And we're going to have Congress and testify and this and that, and it's just the way this country is run, and it's ridiculous. And I got to tell you, Donald Trump is the luckiest man in the world.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I mean, it's amazing how he got away with that. And nobody is focusing on the poor people that a 50-year-old man lost his life.
Right.
He protected his children. Nobody's focusing on that. They're saying, well, we're going to have a GoFundMe page, this and that. This is a terrible, terrible thing. The other two people that got shot, nobody talks about them.
Yeah.
All right, nobody even knows their names.
John, let me ask you: How does this 20-year-old? I'm just going to say nerd or weirdo because that's without knowing much about him at this point. But how does he know where? How did he know that one particular place was out of the perimeter? How did he know that would be a good place to be? I mean, don't you have to have some kind of inside info or knowledge of how it all works?
Well, you know, there's nobody knows the answer, but that was his county. I guess he knew the area where Trump was setting up. He knew the advantage point. He knew how to go to a tower on a roof, you know. And listen, you're not going to believe this, but you know what I blame? I blamed all the violent video games, and people look at me and say, "You've got to be out of your mind." I blame all these violent video games that these kids watch, that these young adults play. All right, and that's how they get their knowledge from. You might disagree with me, you might think I'm crazy, but that's my opinion.
No, I think it's I think it needs a little clarification. You're not saying that these kids are getting it's not inspiring them to do it, to do things like what happened on Saturday, but it's giving them a little bit of knowledge and experience and background, right?
And background, yeah. Okay. You know, like first of all, Pennsylvania is a free gun state.
Right.
Anybody can own a gun in Pennsylvania. It's like down here in Florida.
Right.
You know, and it's again assault weapons. There's nothing wrong with owning guns. You don't need an assault weapon. There's no reason why anybody, if you want to own a shotgun, if you want to own a rifle to go hunt and everything. I'm not a hunter myself. I don't believe in hunting. All right. When I had my house in Pennsylvania, I used to feed the animals. In fact, I got fined. My HOA fined me because you're not supposed to feed the deer. I would go to the local Weiss in the Poconos and get the rotten apples and feed the deer, and they gave me a $25 fine. But that's me, you know. There's too many assault rifles. There's no reason, unless you're in law enforcement, to you have an assault rifle. All right. Not to say he couldn't do the same thing with another high-powered rifle, but he couldn't get off the shots. He couldn't get off 7, 8 shots. It's not determined whether he fired 6, 7, or 8, whatever it was.
Right.
You know, it was a semi-automatic rifle. You can't do that with a bolt-action rifle.
Yep.
or a level action rifle. But it's just a shame. It's just terrible, and people are blaming Biden because they said it was a target. That's all partisan bullshit. The bottom line is this: the Secret Service is at fault, and I have a nephew who's in the Secret Service, and he's probably. If he ever listens to this podcast, he's probably going to curse me, but I don't care. The bottom line is this: it was mismanagement of the people, the organization, the agency that's supposed to protect, all right, presidential candidates and dignitaries.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about it. I would love to hear other comments on it. Of course, you can rebuttal and say I'm wrong, but the bottom line, I did this for 32 years.
Right.
All right, and that's the bottom line. And why we're going to spend millions of dollars, congressmen are going to get involved, the people are going to testify, and this and that. It's nonsense.
Well, that's the problem. That's what bothers me. I think the most is how something like this, and it happens to almost everything. It becomes political, and like you said, then there are hearings, and endless, pointless finger pointing, and the blame game. Like you said, they're already, carrying on about Biden. Look, I'm not a Biden or a Trump fan, but I think it's pretty safe to say when Biden said, there's a target on Trump, I think he meant as far as, a political target. He wasn't cluing people in to go shoot the guy. Yeah. And it just, I hate what becomes of it. Instead of dealing with the issue, they just politicize it and they spin it, and it gets embarrassing is what it gets.
You're exactly 100% correct. All right. The bottom line is this. All right, and let's do something. Let the government. Trump, the poor 50-year-old fireman that lost his life.
Right.
That's terrible.
Absolutely.
But what about the other two people?
Right.
They were innocent bystanders. All right, and
Yep.
the only thing they did was support their candidate, and that was terrible.
Right.
That was senseless.
Yep.
I'll let you go. All right. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Feel good, brother.
Be well.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. John Rusiello checking in. All right. Let's see. Good morning, Jeff Bosey. Fremder, on today's episode of Knockem Dead Radio, I will keep my mouth shut. Maybe not, says Fremder. No, don't keep your mouth shut. Feel free to comment. Tell us what you think. If you disagree with John, that's fine. Totally fine. Okay. Yeah. Feel it's fine to disagree with John. Again, that's the American way. We're allowed to disagree, and we're allowed to have discussions and debates and do it peacefully and calmly. It's a shame. It really is a shame what's gone on here. Good morning, Frank. It's terrible. Like John said, people are just going to a rally to support the person they want to vote for, which they have every right to do. And in this particular rally, it was being done peacefully. There was no wrongdoing going on. People just going to support their guy. And like John said, a 50, I think, was it 54, was it? Forgive me, I don't think he was exactly 50. He was 50-something. And I should have written his name down. Like John said, nobody's talking about those guys enough. The people that got shot, the one poor gentleman who was killed right in front of his family. I believe his name was Corey something. I'm sure one of you guys have it. Please throw it on the comments there. I'd love to see it. And I heard an interview with somebody, a doctor, who was standing right there when this poor man was killed, and he tried CPR on this guy. And he said the look on his family's, the fellow who was killed, his family was with him. He died when the gunshots went off. He died shielding his wife and kids. And a man who happened to be a doctor who was standing nearby tried to give him CPR, and that man said he looked at this poor man's family. He said he can't even describe the looks on their faces. It's just terrible. Fremder, the bald eagle is the wrong animal to be this country's mascot. A bird will never get off the ground at both of its wings, won't cooperate and work together. That's interesting. Some people are red, some people are blue. I prefer to be the white star in the flag because at least they're all together. Well put, Andrew Fremder. See, when you're not too busy trying to make us laugh, which you hardly ever do, you say some smart things. I'm just messing with you. I tell you, man. If there's anything that positive that can come out of 9/11, it was how we all came together. At least here in New York, living. If you're on Long Island, you're anywhere. You live close to New York City. So I can't speak for the rest of the country, but it was definitely here in New York. But it sure felt like it was the whole country. Like, everybody came together. There were no political division for probably a good month after 9/11. And then even after, for here locally, Hurricane Sandy in 2012, there was no political division. It was everybody just helping each other. And I'm feeling a little bit of that since the attempt on Donald Trump, but not as much as I'd like to. Yeah, John Rusciello liked Fremder's comment. Yeah. There's like John mentioned when he called in, people already complaining about Biden. I've heard people complain about, when Biden's very first statement, when he went live and said, I haven't talked to Donald yet, but I'm glad he's okay. And, I'm sorry to hear about the, people that have been hurt. Within minutes, there's people going online on news outlets and they're trashing President Biden. He didn't. I mean, when does it end? When do we put all those silly differences aside, and respect the office? Let our president speak. And let him. He did a good thing. I'm not a big Joe Biden fan anymore. I used to be. I'm not. But at a time like that, he came out. He didn't say, I hate Donald Trump, and he didn't say anything. He said, I'm trying to reach him, and I hope to talk to him, and I'm glad he's okay. And people are then trashing him, and what really gets me too are ones, unfortunately there are people out there that are like, better luck next time. I saw one post, at first you don't succeed. I'm like, are you kidding? I don't know. I'm kind of speechless. I just, I don't care who you like, who you don't like. Did the man deserve to be shot at? I don't know, man. I just, I just can't wrap my head around that. Frank C. Putting silly differences aside will only happen if Americans want it enough. And then he says they don't. Yeah, I really, this man, you don't get any closer to dying than he did. Well, it was his right ear, right? Yeah, I think it was his right ear. A bullet went through his right ear. A hair more to the right, and he'd be dead. Isn't that? Isn't that? If that's not a wake-up call, even the man himself, even Trump, he did an interview with the New York Post, and he said, yes, Joe Biden and I have spoken, and he said, and I think from this point on we're going to be more civil to each other, and God, I hope that's true, because if they can be civil with each other, hopefully we can. The hardcore liberals, the hardcore conservatives, when they see that their leaders are being more civil and hopefully reacting properly to this wake-up call, maybe they'll take that lead and they'll follow it. Neither side is perfect, and there shouldn't be blind faith in either side. And I don't want to turn this into a gun issue. because that's not the full picture, in my opinion. Why are we being so violent? Why did this? I'm going to call him a kid. Why did this kid feel the need to shoot anybody, no matter who it is? Why did he feel the need to do that? Is it a mental health issue in this country? I don't know. I agree with John. Everybody, if you want to own a gun, go ahead, own a gun. But to own an assault rifle, to make it that easy for people to get assault rifles so they can do stuff like this, and then don't forget, this has clouded another news item. Birmingham, Alabama. I think it's Alabama. I just know it's Birmingham. So forgive me if it's not Alabama. But there were 2 shootings in Birmingham that left 7 people dead and 10 people injured on Saturday night. So you didn't hear about that, I get it, because Donald Trump was big news. I'm not knocking him or the fact that was big news. But did you hear that in Birmingham? 7 people died from shootings. There were 2. It was 2 separate incidences where 7 people in total died, and 10 people in total were injured. But last I heard, which I think was yesterday, they think that these shootings were targeted, and they think that they were connected somehow. Let's see. Graphic Brew. Hello, Graphic Brew, whoever you are. I saw Tyler Fisher at the Levittown Club. Great set. Having Trump and Biden impersonations as a major portion of his act. How do you feel comedians like Tyler will? How do you feel comedians like Tyler will, if at all, alter their act? First of all, Graphic Brew, glad to hear you had a good time. Where did Tyler? Was he in the main room or the giggle room? I wasn't aware that he was here this weekend. How do you feel comedians like Tyler will, if at all, alter their act? Well, you see, that's a tough question. Should they alter their act? I personally don't think they should. I personally believe, at times like this, we need comedy more than anything. Now, having said that, if you're a political comedian and you do a lot of political stuff, if you're known for that, then most of the people coming to your show have the same views as you do, and they'll support you, and you'll have a great show. If you're not, I'm thinking like a Robert Downey, a Kevin Downey Jr. Kevin Downey Jr. He's very well known for leaning, for being very right. A Republican. And, I would say 85 to 90% of his audience know that and support that. So he'll have a great time with that. I've seen it where more local acts who aren't big names, hopefully they will be someday, but, on the local scene where they come out and they lean one way and they're criticizing the other. And I've seen people get up and walk out, which is a shame. I think I don't think you should do that much of it to the point where people want to walk out, but I don't think people should walk out either. I'm old. Look at this beard. And I'm bald. I'm old. I miss the days of Johnny Carson, where Johnny Carson, it didn't matter who the president was. Johnny Carson, went after you. And that's the way it should be. You're in a position where you're, where everybody knows what you're doing, and it should be criticized, it should be questioned, and it should be joked about. These days, people just get mad. Oh, how dare you pick on my guy? And they go on Twitter and they go on social media and they just blast everybody. Everybody's blasting each other. Just, I don't know. We need to loosen up, but to the point here, I don't know. There's been assassination attempts, since this country was started. And, some successfully, some not successfully. But I don't know, do you just brush it off like that, or do you find out what the problem is? I don't know. Let's see. Frank C. Civil discourse doesn't get ratings or social media hits. Yeah, true. Fremder, anybody else notice JFK Jr. in the background? Supposedly he was dead, but apparently he's going under a new alias, and he's the only one that never flinched. What? 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 Did somebody in the background look like John F. Kennedy, JFK Jr.? I don't know. We'll see. We're back. We're back to not knowing what Fremder's talking about. Graphic Brew. Main room. This was a few months ago. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I think everybody should be a comedic target. And all of us should be able to laugh at it without getting mad. I do think that's one of the downsides of social media. You know, people either take the content wrong and get all upset, or they just get brave and they just start pointing fingers at each other and saying horrible things that really spark people. I mean, you know, and I think we're all victim of it at one point or another since social media started. So I understand it. But yeah, I mean, and that's become news these days. And I think that's part of the problem too. You know, the news outlets, this one said, and this one responded to this one by saying, who cares what these people have to say? How about just reporting the news? And I don't know, man. It's such a sad thing. And I will say, like I said, I'm not a Trump fan. I'm not a Biden fan. I wish there was somebody that would, a young guy with swagger that could come in and just, you know, kind of blow them both away in the polls. Okay, I didn't mean it any other way. So calm down. But so I'm not a fan of either one of them. But I will say, it touched me. When he got up and he started, encouraging the crowd. I thought that was. I think that's going to go down as an important part of history, even if he doesn't win the election. I thought that was inspiring. I'm not a big fan of the man. I'm not a big Trump hater, but I'm not a fan. But I was touched by that moment. You know, if that doesn't show a good leader, and I'm not saying other people wouldn't do the same thing. You know, I don't know if Biden would do that or not. I think it's one of those things you have to be in that situation to really know what you would do in it. But it was him in this case, and I found it inspiring when he got up and started pumping his fist to the crowd. And I think he was saying fight, right? Fight. I think that's what he was saying. Yeah, I thought that was really something. All right, let's see what we got. Fremder, something even scarier in the VFX world is that you can go online and purchase a 3D model of Trump and or Biden, and they look so real I can't even tell the difference. If you can take these three, the models that you can't tell the difference with animate, then give them a voice. You can make these two do whatever you want. The only red I have is the pubes on my blue balls. Oh, Fremder. So, Fremder, explain what you mean with these 3D models. You can make them do whatever you want. What? I'm not following your point here. Well, I mean, that is kind of scary if that's true. I'm not familiar with that. Franco Fora, my character has been assassinated numerous times. No, I'm serious. Look it up. JFK Jr. in the background. He's wearing glasses and a hat. Come on. Really? Can you send us a picture of that? Keep in mind, says Frank, because of the availability of social media, people can say whatever stupid shit they want without any responsibility to those words. Right, and I touched upon that a few minutes ago. That they say whatever they want, and that becomes their like what gets said on social media becomes what fuels people to do or say something, which I personally think is ridiculous. See, but again, we're doing it now. We're kind of getting off the path here. We're talking about, and I'm guilty of it too. But we're talking about, people and their words. We're talking about, robots. We politicize it when we shouldn't be. An instance like this shouldn't be politicized. This, like, love him or hate him, the man has the right to run for president. And I know some people will say, well, he's a felon. He has the right to run for president, right or wrong. He has the right to run for president. I don't know. And I know people have a lot of hate for that guy, and he's been accused of a lot of things. He's been found guilty of a lot of things. But does he deserve to get shot, or is this some kind of wake-up call? It's weird. Online, you can purchase 3D models, digital doubles of Biden and Trump. You can find them and animation, give a voice, and you can make them do whatever they want, just like a digital double of an actor in a movie. All right, so Fremda, you've said that a couple of times, but I'm not following why you're bringing that up. I'm not following your point. Forgive me. I'm just not following it. All right, I'm going to look that up. 3D model Donald Trump. Donald Trump 3D models. Let's see. I'm looking at sketchfab.com. Yeah, some of the and these are what, masks? Like, I don't know what buy Donald Trump 3D. Yeah, there's one that I'm looking at that's really scary. I mean, because it looks exactly like him. And I'm clicking on it and nothing's happening. And I'll click on a different one. All right, still nothing's happening. All right, let me go somewhere else. All right, it's not letting me go anywhere else. Oh, that's weird. All right, I'm just going to give that up. Okay. Combine that with artificial intelligence, and you'll be able to single-handedly manipulate these three models to do and say anything. Right, but what does that have to do with Trump getting shot? Like, are you one of those people that are saying this thing was fake? Are you saying that wasn't really him? No, you download the file, you put it into your 3D software, and now you have complete control over them, bring them to life with animation, just like they would do for movie production. So anybody can make a video with Trump in it and make it look real? I'm still not... forgive me if the point is obvious and I'm missing it, but I'm still trying to find the connection to what we're talking about to that. Which, yes, that is very scary. But what does it have to do with what we're talking about, Trump getting shot on Saturday? Every actor in an action movie has a digital double that can be animated and given a voice with a computer. Think of it that way. What does that have to do with Saturday? I don't know if he's trying to say that Saturday was fake. Just a sad thing, in my opinion. And he's been convicted of certain things. He's known for certain things. He's not, he's not exactly the, ideal role model, but did, I don't know, just the fact that this happened though, does he deserve to get shot? Did anybody who went to this thing deserve to get shot? Did this poor firefighter, I believe, right? This man who died, I believe, was a fireman. He definitely didn't deserve to die. It's I don't know. Just the fact that this happens, I think, is sad, regardless of who it is. I'm not saying it was fake, but what I'm saying is that there's technology out there where if you're good enough, you can pull it off. All right. Send me the picture of JFK Jr. And I think it's said that that a 20-year-old kid has the desire to kill somebody to the point where he actually came very close to succeeding. I mean, he succeeded in killing people, not his initial target, but I think it's said that that somebody wants to kill somebody else so bad that they actually do it or attempt it, and that now he's dead too. 20 freaking years old. It's said to me that a 20-year-old has access to a rifle like that. Vicky, the man's name who died protecting his family was Corey Comparatori. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. But, yeah, I said before, I knew the first name was Corey. I'd forgotten his last name. And he was a fireman, right? And, yeah, witness accounts was this man was shielding his family when he got hit. And then his family had to stand, his wife and kids were there with him, and they had to sit there and watch him die. Yeah, it's just sad to me. I hope that there's a wake-up call to this, much like other, horrible things that have happened in this country, horrible events. One of the reasons I don't like Donald Trump is because I just didn't feel, as a presidential candidate, or even when he was president, I just didn't feel it was proper of our president to go on Twitter and attack other people. I do feel that we've lost some respect for the office due to his actions. Of course, the office wasn't perfect before him, but it was definitely respected a hell of a lot more, years ago. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't, but I do wish and hope for this country to just calm down a little bit. We're really at such a divide, and so many people are attacking each other. It's really sad. And again, I hope this is some kind of wake-up call. Because really, if it could happen to a presidential candidate, it could happen to anybody. It's happening to anybody. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It was definitely a weird weekend. We lost Dr. Ruth Westheimer. We lost Shannon Doherty. Don't know much about Shannon Doherty. She was on that TV show. She had what was the other one she had? She had 90210. What was the other one where she was a witch? I never watched either one. I just saw the commercials. I remember that she did them. Other than that, I couldn't tell you a single thing about Shannon Doherty. I did think she was a good-looking woman. But it is sad to me, when anybody in their 50s passes away. And she had breast cancer she was battling cancer for several years. I do remember maybe a year or two ago where it said that it had spread to her brain and other parts of her body. So this poor woman suffered. And, that's a shame. That's a real shame. So yeah, and then we lost Richard Simmons as well, which I think he had some cancer issues, right? I'm not really positive, but I think he did. Very funny man, that Richard Simmons. He was outrageous. So that's a sad thing. 76, I believe they said he was. I actually met him once. I think I've told the story on the show before. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, I worked at Publishers Clearinghouse. The magazine company, and win $10 million and all that. I used to work for that company, and they had, I don't want to say it was like a compound, but they had like two or three, at least two, maybe 3 or 4 buildings on this one street. And they were doing some kind of business with Richard Simmons. I don't know what. So he was coming to the main building for a business meeting. And I don't know, I guess they worked it out with him where, they were going to treat this like like a little like have a little reception with the employees where he was going to come in and we were all going to greet him and whatnot. So I worked in the warehouse where, the mailings were delivered. Any deliveries, anything outgoing, was, from this warehouse. And so we had access to the outside, obviously, because you have trucks coming in to pull into the bays to deliver stuff. So we're looking outside. We see the limo pull up. And he gets out, and it's just like on TV. He's got this glittering tank top. He's got like a little sweater above it, and he's got these short shorts that barely cover his ass cheeks. And there's probably like maybe, if I remember right, like 5, 6, 7 steps that that go up. Then there's even ground. There's a few more steps. And then I think there's 2 or 3 steps to go into the building. There are at least 2 sets of stairs before you get into the building. He's going up the stairs like this. Me and the guys in the warehouse watching this, we were dying. We were laughing so hard. And then, he went in for the meeting, and then they had, at whatever time, Richard Simmons is coming for a meeting at this time. But at this time, come to the employee cafeteria. We'll have a reception, whatever it was. And so we went over. Just out of curiosity to see what went on. And again, acted just like he did on TV. He comes running into the employee cafeteria. The place goes nuts. And he's all, he grabbed this one woman right in the front. And I don't remember the woman's name, but I remember her. Her son worked there too. Her son, Ricky. But she was a very, very short woman, 5 foot at best. So he comes running, and he grabs her, he picks her up, he spins her, and the whole place is going crazy. I'm like, yeah. He grabs a mic to talk. I left. I didn't stick around. But then a little while later, we were, I don't know, I was part of the people that were like kind of like, we almost served as like security for the guys. He walked around the whole, Publishers Clearinghouse compound. So at one point they did, they did introduce me to him. And we had a quick, and I said, hello, Mr. Simmons, just like that. And I got one of these. Oh, hi, Tony. And I just, pleasure to meet you. But as I'm shaking his hand, first off, I got this. I didn't get like, I put my hand out and I get this. So I'm like, what do you do with that? So I was just like, I didn't even know how to grab. We did a quick little awkward thing, but we did eventually, as we're doing this awkward thing, we did eventually kind of like link palms, His hand was so clammy. I actually did right in front. It was just my reaction. I went, oh, like that. And if he picked up on it, well, then he's a great performer because he didn't react. He didn't even look at me funny, nothing. I just went, ugh. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I just kind of went, ugh. And he just moved on. And, met the next person. But it was disgusting. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that and have some respect for the dead, but I don't know. That's what happened. But yeah, he was exactly like he is on TV. Very energetic and lively and flamboyant. But it was funny. Gave me a story. So, yeah, weird weekend with stuff, right? All right, let's see. Let's get to comments. John Rusciolo. Let's change the subject. Is Diane coming on the show tomorrow? Good idea. Yes. Diane will be sitting here. Frank Walker will be sitting over there. Paul Esposito will be sitting over there. Stuart Marcus will be sitting somewhere. If you guys remember, I think it was the last time Diane was here, Paul Esposito was commenting. You guys met Paul. He did the show with me and Frank a few weeks ago. But he was commenting one day that Diane, I think it was the last time Diane was here. And because the past 2 Tuesdays we haven't had a show, so Diane hasn't been here. But Paul was commenting, and we were saying that, the two of them should meet and sing something together and blah, blah, blah. So Paul is coming in tomorrow. He wants to meet Diane. We're going to get them to sing. I'm going to put them on the spot, make them sing. Frank will be hanging out. Stuart Marcus, you guys met him probably about, was it a year ago? He does, he spearheads Harry Chapin. Harry Chapin started Long Island Cares. He started one of the local Long Island charities that collects food for the hungry. And Stuart Marcus has been spearheading an annual Harry Chapin tribute show for, I think, like 20-something years. So, and they have a show, I believe it's this coming weekend, so he'll be here to promote it tomorrow. We'll get him to sing. So here's the deal tomorrow. At the start of the show, it'll be me, Diane, Paul, and Frank. So we're going to start the show. We're going to talk, do our normal silliness. At 11, so the show starts at 11. At 11:30, we're going to do trivia. A little earlier this week. Going to do our trivia at 11:30 because at 12 noon, Stuart Marcus is coming in. And then around that time as well, we'll be Zooming with Harry Chapin's son, Jason. I believe, he's Zoomed with us before. But, he'll be joining us for a few minutes tomorrow as well to promote this Chapin event that's this weekend. I believe it's at Heckscher Park out east. So that's the story for tomorrow. Wednesday, I do believe Mike Kaplan will be back. We have our friend Greg Halverson, who was on the show just like a month or so ago. He's coming in to promote some of his stuff. He's a local actor and filmmaker. And he's bringing in a woman named Valerie that he works on a lot of his projects with. And forgive me, I don't have her last name with me. But I'll have all that by the time the show starts on Wednesday. Thursday, Frank and I will be here with Mike Piniella. Friday, Andy will be back. And we're working on a few guests because this Friday is the big day. The Clash of the Islands, presented by Gov's Comedy Club Podcast, Staten Island and Long Island. That's this Friday at 7 p.m. Mike Pachetti and friends, Greg and Rob, Tony Landolfi, and Irene Bremis. That's a great show. And I've gotten compliments from other comedians saying, what a great lineup of comedy that is, which has made me very proud. Me and Don. Me and Don put that show together. So please come down. Go to govs.com, make your reservations. So I'm hoping to have some of those guys on the show Friday to promote the show. So we'll see. Frank C. The anybody's cries have been ignored for decades, so sadly it will continue to happen to anybody. Unfortunately, you're right about that, Frank. Shannon Doherty had breast cancer for 10 years. Wow, was it really 10 years? That's awful, man. See, same thing. Nobody should have to go through that. Vicky, Beverly Hills 90210, Charmed. Oh, Charmed was the show I was thinking about. Right? There were witches on that show? Oh, Mallrats. I forgot she was in that. That's a funny movie. She made a special dedication in Riverdale for Luke Perry's character, Mr. Andrews. Okay, that's very nice. She was also one of the 3 Heathers in the movie. Oh, I forgot about that movie. I haven't seen that movie in ages. Frank C. Yes, Harry Chapin started Long Island Cares. Thanks, Frank. John Ricciello. Sounds like a great lineup tomorrow. Yeah, I think tomorrow's show is going to be a lot of fun. Yes, Heckscher Park on the Harry Chapin stage. Thanks, Frank. Yep, the Harry Chapin stage on Heckscher Park. And we're definitely getting into the drama of that stuff because they were doing it at Eisenhower Park. all these years. This is the first year that they've moved it. They had some kind of issue with the county exec, Bruce Blakeman, so they moved the show over to Heckscher Park. But then Harry Chapin's band played Eisenhower Park yesterday or this week, sometime Saturday. I think it was Saturday night. They played Eisenhower Park. So what the flying foul filth is going on there? And yes, I'm asking about that tomorrow. We're going to get into it. Behind the music. So a crazy weekend. And what better than comedy to work past it and hold hands and sing Kumbaya. So come join us this weekend. A lot of great stuff this weekend. So we got that show again. Go to govs.com. And it doesn't stop there, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't stop there. The very next night, head on out to McGuire's and see this man. Or this guy. Go see this guy at McGuire's the very next night. One of the best there is and one of the greatest human beings. All right. And speaking of cancer, the band Heart. Great band, right? You can name a million great songs of theirs. All I want to do is make love to you. Magic Man, Barracuda, Crazy on You, Dog and Butterfly, Alone, Never. I can go on and on with that. They had to cancel their tour because Ann the lead singer has a cancer scare. This is going to be nothing, but I'm going to answer it anyway.
Hello, we're calling from Business Listing Solutions because your Google business listing needs attention. If your listing is not showing up properly, customers will not be able to contact you or find your location.
Oh, no.
If you are the business owner, press 1 now to verify or update your business.
Shut up. All right. So, yeah, Ann Wilson, the lead singer of Heart, she has a cancer scare. So they've had to cancel their tour. So, hope she's okay. All right, so, on to less important things, which I think is a good thing. We need to, not do less important things. We watched, my wife and I watched the this Remembering Gene Wilder documentary that came out. Very well done. Very well done. I know some of you are going to want to kick me in the face, but I am not a Willy Wonka fan. That movie, I don't know, it's just too weird for me. It's a little spooky and a little creepy. I don't know, that movie, I don't know. I just don't like that movie. But I love Young Frankenstein. Love that movie. One of the best movies ever made. And I don't think anybody could have played Frankenstein like Gene Wilder did. What a great movie. Just a perfect cast. What's her name? Who's the really funny one? The one who's been dead for a while now. She's in that movie. She was a treasure. She was one of the funniest people ever. I'm having a brain fart. What's her name? Young Frankenstein cast. Peter Boyle was fantastic. The guy with the hump, Marty Feldman. Madeline Kahn. That's who I'm thinking of. Madeline Kahn. What a treasure she was. Cloris Leachman. Yeah, Marty Feldman, Mel Brooks, and Gene Hackman. Even his cameo was fantastic. Is anybody alive from this movie? Terry Garr. I think she's still cooking, right? Cloris Leachman. I think she has passed, right? I think she may have recently passed. Yeah. All right. 3 years ago she passed. Yeah. And Terry Garr is still alive, right? Yeah. Okay. She's still around. Man, she was hot in her day, huh? Mel Brooks is still kicking too, and he's in this documentary. Very well done documentary. If you're, and don't forget Blazing Saddles and all the movies that he made with Richard Pryor. There's a lot of interesting stuff, and he was married to Gilda Radner, another treasure. He was married to her for a while. Very interesting, very well done. Had a sad ending. He died of Alzheimer's. Cloris Leachman, right? Yeah, I mentioned all that. Right? Yeah. So if you like Gene Wilder, I definitely recommend it. I thought it was very well done. What else did we? Oh, you know what? I haven't touched upon because I feel like I've hardly done this show the past couple of weeks. Lisa and I saw Thelma, that movie Thelma. I didn't think it was that good. I love the premise of it. If you're not familiar with it, it's about a 90-year-old woman who she you hear it all the time. These old ladies who are easy to scam. They get a call from somebody claiming to be their grandson or something, and they're arrested or something's happened to them. They need money immediately. Excuse me. So she is a victim of one of those scams where she gave somebody, I think it was 10 grand, I think. And it was basically everything she had. So she's mad about it, and she decides to go out and get revenge and track these people down. So again, a great premise. I thought, and there were some very funny moments in the movie. But all in all, it was like, it was corny at times. It was predictable at times, and it dragged. So I don't know. It's lighthearted. I had higher expectations. I didn't want it to be lighthearted. I wanted to be like, I wanted to see a 90-year-old lady like with a gun, give me my money, motherfucker. Like that to me is hilarious. So we saw that. All right. So I have some funny pictures to show you. And I've done this type of thing before, that like funny signs that just don't come out right. All right, so this first one I'm going to show you is a billboard from Esurance, and it says "Cover your home in a click." Or does it say that? Vicky's yelling at me. She says, I got to watch Strays. Yes, I do. I know. You told me I got to watch that. Okay. There's a forest recreation area called The Cut. Welcome to The Cut. I don't know. It's a cut of something. Maybe before you head on over to The Cut, you want to get some beer. You want to get maybe 40 different types of liquors? What it makes you do after you drink them, I don't know, but I have hot dogs or broccoli actually, and that's what happens to me. If you have a special aunt who's celebrating a birthday soon, you might want to get her a nice greeting card for that special aunt. She must be really special. If you're out on the town and you're doing some shopping, you might want to try some red shoes. Red shoes. 50% off, no less. That's nice. What is that actually supposed to say? Oh, Tectrum. The Tectrum Group. I wonder if that's the van that Jeff Bosey's driving. All right. Hey, here's a team you can join. You can join the the bbwjobs.com. Oh, my mistake. What word is this? Artisanal? Is that a word? Artisanal? Is that what it actually even says? But it definitely looks like art is anal. And again, speaking of Jeff Bosey. What are you guys doing tonight? Maybe you want to go out and get a good pick-me-up? Maybe. Or maybe there's something else you want to do? I'm not sure. Maybe you like to go get a nice massage. Only for certain people, I guess. All right, and last but not least, somebody's just having fun with their car. Somebody bought a nice Taurus, and they gave it a name. That one's hilarious to me, by the way. So there you go. Just thought I'd share some funny signs with you. Fremder, I know a lot of special ants I like to give a card to. Vicky says, special ant LMAO. This is why they no longer teach cursive. Yeah, cursive is a dying art. But yeah, I thought those are some good signs right there. So I thought I'd share that with you. Let's see. All right, so the other day on the show, on Friday, if you watch the show on Friday, you saw Andy Plagano's flipping out. And the argument was about nostalgia, basically. And so with that in mind, I found a list of things older adults are sharing. Oh, older adults are sharing the current societal practices that were considered rude back then, but are totally normal now. So did you get that? So it's a list of things that older people said were rude in their day, but now it's totally acceptable. There's 8 things here. I'll read Fremder's comment first. Do you know the rectum van? Do you know the rectum van? He lives on Cherry Lane. That was good. All right. So older adults are sharing these current practices that were considered rude back in the day, but are totally normal now. Number 1, wearing hats indoors. Not going to lie, but it still bugs me, says somebody, says some older person. You know, sometimes it bugs me, sometimes it doesn't. It was definitely considered rude when I was a kid, and I remember plenty of times I was sitting at a dinner table and I was told to take off my hat. Classic scene from The Sopranos, by the way, where Tony tells a kid to take his hat off in a nice restaurant. Doesn't really bug me that much, but I'll tell you where it does bug me. It because I'm showing my age. It bugs me in church. I see guys wearing baseball hats in church. I don't know. It's something about it. You know what really gets me, and I've complained about it on the show before, is when people don't take their hats off for the national anthem. That makes me nuts. And what makes me even more mad, it's become this thing where if you're not at your seat at a sporting event, like if you're walking through the back corridors, it's okay to keep walking. Which, and sometimes people, even when they come out to their section, they'll still walk until they get to their seat and then they stand. So meanwhile, the national anthem's like halfway done at that point. Yeah, that makes me crazy. Stop wherever you are. If you know that music is playing, if you hear it, well, stop. If you're in the back, maybe you don't hear it, maybe there's too much noise, okay. But if you hear it, stop. Number 2. So I'm reading a quote from older adults. Back then, it was very rare to question the authority of teachers. I often read stories from teachers, and I'm kind of shocked by how students treat their teachers these days. Also back then, parents rarely intervened if their kid was disciplined or received a low grade. According to teachers, parents get livid when their darling special angel is reprimanded in any way. Yeah, that's true. I do feel, getting back to our complaining earlier in the show about this weekend, I do feel that's part of the problem in this country. That we don't, like I said before, we don't respect the office of president, and authority figures, their authority is not respected. And I mean, you see it even, you watch, like, when my kids were little, they used iCarly and Victorious. If you're familiar with those shows and shows like it, the kids were having their fun, which is great, but the authorities, the adults, the authority figures, they were all treated like idiots. They were all stupid. The kids were constantly putting them down and disrespecting them and doing things to them. And it's kind of gone from there. I tried to hold on to that when my kids were in school, where, respect the teacher, and if he's disciplined, fine, discipline him if he was wrong. My thing, I just wanted to know about it, because sometimes I didn't. I just wanted to know about it, and I wanted all the facts. Most of the time, if my son had to be disciplined, I fully supported it. And then I handled it when he got home. No, I'm kidding. But I always gave him the opportunity to tell me his side. If his side was different from the teacher, I would go question it, but I didn't disrespect, unless I thought the teachers were wrong. My son was in an integrated program because he needed a little extra help, and he was definitely hyper. He was a hyper guy, and it was worked on all the time. And my son was also bullied from time to time. And there was an incident where he was in gym class. He was getting bullied they were online in gym class to participate in whatever activity, and they had to wait their turn. And some kid was picking on him online. And instead of reacting, instead of getting crazy, instead of doing anything he shouldn't have done, he walked offline and went and sat down. Which you think about, you're like, oh, okay, good for him. Well, the gym teacher then yelled at him for walking off the line, which my son, I think, was in 3rd or 4th grade at the time. So he ended up crying because he was upset. He thought he was doing the right thing. Instead of reacting or smacking, he just removed himself from the situation, and he got yelled at for that. And then, so then the gym teacher sent him down to the assistant principal, and then I get a phone call. And I think I talked about it just recently on this show. The principal of my son's elementary school was not special needs friendly. He wasn't. Well, I don't know what his reasoning was, but he just wasn't. And the and the assistant principal was basically this man's puppet. And he was like her mentor. So she wasn't any more special needs friendly than anybody else, and she was an idiot. She was, and I think she's still in that school district, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, she was a moron. And I remember she called me up to tell me what happened, and I said, all right, I'll be right there. And there was another kid that removed himself from the situation too, and he also got in trouble for it. So it was me and this other parent. And it was one of a handful of times where I lost my cool at this school. And I accused, and thankfully the other parent was on the same page as me. So we're yelling at this assistant principal. I don't know what you guys are talking about. We love the special ed community and their little quirks. And that, both of us, me and this other parent, the smoke was coming out of our ears, man. We were going nuts. And, yeah. So that was that. And it never really went anywhere. But but yeah, if my son deserved to be reprimanded, and my daughter too. But my daughter, I think, got in trouble once in all of her days of school. All right, number 3, wearing pajamas out of the house. Yeah, that's become a thing, huh? I don't really care about it. I do find it a little strange, depending on where they're going, depending where you are. Like if they're just at the supermarket and they're just buying groceries, who cares? But yeah, like if they're out for dinner or something, I'm like, oh. But then sometimes you get a good-looking woman, looking good in her pajamas. Had to say it, sorry. Number 4, people pulling into a driveway and blowing their horn, expecting you to come out to them. That was not the way I was brought up. If you went to someone's house, you'd get out of the car, go to the front door, ring the doorbell or knock, and politely wait. I don't know if I agree with that. I think there were plenty of people that would honk a horn back in the day. However, I do think in this day and age of phones and whatnot, it does bother me. Like, I don't mind a little burp, burp. I don't mind that. But sometimes you get people that are just leaning on the horn. Like, you got cell phones crying. What does it take to call or just text a person? I'm here. Number 5, cursing and cursing around children. Yeah, that has definitely become more commonplace. I've noticed my son is 23. He'll be 24 in November. I've noticed with him and kids his age, like cursing is like they say it just like it's any other word. And I used to believe that. I used to believe in that. Cursing is just a word. Who cares? As I get older, though, I do find like, oh, hey, you shouldn't say that. There's kids and old ladies around here. I don't know. It's weird how stuff like that affects you as you get older. But I do. I find myself when I hear young guys cursing, I'm looking around to see who's around to hear it. But I don't think I haven't said anything. The only time I say something, sometimes my son, he'll be around, especially his grandmothers, Lisa's mother and my mother. I know for a fact they don't like it. So sometimes I'll say to him, hey, they're coming over, watch it. And he'll slip up sometimes, and I'll be like, hey, oh. Let's see, number 6, being loud in a waiting room. When I was a kid, you sat there quietly and read Highlights magazine or something. Adults literally whispered when they spoke. Now people put their phones on speaker, full volume, and talk loudly as if they're at a party or something. Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't care so much about talking loudly. There have been plenty of times where I'm like, how come I can hear them louder than I can hear the person next to me? I don't mind that so much, but it does bug me when people start putting their phones on. Then, if you're going to do that, well, then put the phone up on the wall so we can all watch. To hear somebody's audio, I don't know. There is something about it that annoys me. Why are my comments disappearing, says Fremder. I didn't do anything, and I still and I see your comments. Unless there were comments that you did write that I don't see, but I guess YouTube can't handle me either. Well, are you saying disrespectful things, young man? John Rusciello, wearing pajamas with or without underwear, that is the question. Oh. Depends on who the person is, too. You don't want to see me without underwear, I'll tell you that. Number 7, not giving up your seat on a bus for an older person or a person with a disability. People would have chastised somebody who didn't do that 40 years ago. I am going to agree with that. You see that more and more, where an elderly person or somebody with a disability is standing somewhere and nobody's giving up a seat. You definitely see more and more of that. You definitely see more and more of people not holding the door for people. I was at a 7-Eleven a few weeks ago, and I was about to walk in, and I don't know why. I just happened to look over to my left, and there was this blonde coming in, and I held the door open, and she stopped and she looked at me. She goes, "Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you." And I was like, boing. No, I'm kidding. But it was like, oh, that's a nice response. It kind of made my day a little bit. Yeah, you don't see that as much. Or, which I think is happening even more, if you do hold the door for someone and they don't say thank you, which pisses me off. Yeah, that does. That bothers me when people do that. But I think that's actually the case more. All right, last one. Offering one's opinion without being asked for it. When I was younger, people kept their opinions to themselves and didn't say anything unless someone else asked. Now people feel entitled to spout their opinions on unasked subjects. And God help you if you disagree. I'm going to disagree with that. I think people have always done that, at least in my day. Have given their opinions, even if it wasn't asked for. However, the last part of that, God help you if you disagree. Yeah, that has changed, and that we've been talking about today. God help you if you have a different opinion. You see how the Andy Plajanuses of the world, how worked up they get. I'm only joking, but it's true. I mean, again, in this crazy political climate that we've been in, you can't say anything about. And I think it's both sides. Left and right. They get so mad when you're disagreed with. It's very hard to have a civil conversation these days when you're disagreeing about something, and that's sad to me. And I'm guilty of it too. I can do it for a while. I'll sit here and have a conversation with you about a subject we disagree on for a long time. But if you start yelling or if you start name calling, getting stupid, yeah, then it's game over for me. And maybe it shouldn't be. I don't know. Yes, sir.
The worst thing that used to bother me, and it only happened in Long Island, and I'm sorry, I know you love Long Island.
I do.
I love Long Island when I lived here. But when you stop at a stop sign, whether it's a four-way stop sign, or you waved the person on to give them, some courtesy, and they don't wave back and say thank you when you're in a car.
Yes.
That used to piss me off to no avail. I used to get so pissed off.
Yep.
Especially with a woman. All right, you pull. I used to pull into meat farms all the time on 112, the new meat farms. And somebody was coming out, and I would give them the wave so they can make the turn without me interfering, and they just drove off.
Yep.
Like they're entitled to it. That fucking pissed me off. I'm sorry, cursing. I tell you, I wanted to ram the back of their car.
I tell you what drives me even more crazy is when someone cuts you off, and then they kind of yell at you like you did something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Well, those are assholes. But I mean, just common courtesy. But it only happened in Long Island. To me, it only happened in Long Island. Any place else, I never had that experience. For some reason or another, all you people from Long Island thought you were entitled. Not you, Tony. Not you, but Andy. I love you. Goodbye.
Andy, though, strikes me as the type that would wave if you let him in. That's my guess. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So those are the eight things. That was funny. Let's see. We have about 10 minutes left. What do I got here with 10 minutes left? Oh, all right. I'm going to complain about it. This is a music thing. And I know, like John, who just called, I know he's not as into music like I am. Most people aren't into music like I am. I'm a total major music nerd. But I think you don't have to be a big music lover to get my point here. So, The Who. Maybe I should save this for tomorrow. Maybe you know what? I already started. I'll do it. But maybe I'll bring it up again tomorrow when I have music people in here. But The Who. If you're somewhat familiar with The Who, okay, if you think about the songs you know of theirs, you kind of think of them as like a rebellious, hard-hit, almost like a male-dominant band. I mean, they get girls at their shows, but it is mostly a guy's band. Hard-hitting, My Generation was, doesn't get more rebellious than that, And the song Won't Get Fooled Again. And just all these heavy songs. And I think of they have the Tommy album, Pinball Wizard. I mean, the music to that song. Like, that's like you're ready to fight when you hear that. and so that's the Tommy album. I love that album, and I also love it's an album called Quadrophenia. Both of them are rock operas. If you don't know what a rock opera is, well, you know what an opera is. An opera is a musical that's telling a story. You know, all the songs are intertwined, and it continues, it's telling a story. It's not like most albums, in the day of albums, they're just unrelated songs. Where Tommy was, the story of a boy named Tommy who was deaf, dumb, and blind, who somehow developed this knack for playing pinball, even though he couldn't see and hear anything. Well, then this other rock opera they had was Quadrophenia. And it was almost like a coming of age thing. This young man who's trying to find his way in the world has some idol worship for this other guy that he knows, and he's chasing after a girl who, kind of plays some head games with him. He gets involved a little bit with drugs. He's just trying to find his way in life. And and there's some great songs on that. And the very first song on that album is The Real Me. And if you know that song, can you see the real me? Can you? And it's hard rocking and great bass and drums are all over the place. Keith Moon was a lunatic on the drums. So it's a great album. And The Who had some soft songs, but mostly they had some heavy rocking songs. And then, of course, Tommy then became a Broadway musical, and I think a lot of Who fans didn't like that, and of course, those songs were a little too polished at that point. I did see Tommy on Broadway back in the 90s, and I loved it. They just brought it back onto Broadway, and it's already closing. So I guess they're trying it again. It didn't work out, but I still prefer the Who's version, the original version. I wouldn't ever choose the Broadway version over the original. But now the news comes that the Who, Pete Townsend, who wrote all the songs for the Who, he now has he's redoing Quadrophenia. Next year. It's returning next year, 2025. This time as a dance production. It's coming back as a ballet. Featuring a large cast of exceptional dancers introducing new audiences to the story of Quadrophenia, while remaining true in spirit to the much-loved original. Yeah, sure you are. A rich orchestral version of the album by the Philharmonic Orchestra is the backdrop for this adrenaline-filled roller coaster ride. Pete, the Who has been around since the 60s. Do you really need the money, Pete? Pete Townsend, who wrote Quadrophenia, who wrote 99% of the Who's music. Do you need the money that bad, Pete, that you're turning Quadrophenia into a ballet? I just don't get it. And it even said, adrenaline-filled. Yeah, if you listen to the Quadrophenia album, it's adrenaline all the way, even in the soft songs. Love Reign Over Me. That's the song that ends the whole thing. What a song. Powerful. Roger Daltrey. If you're going to get anything of the Who, you want to know what the Who was all about. There's a few albums that came out right in a row that you should get. The Who's Tommy, then Live at Leeds came out, then Who's Next? Tommy, Live at Leeds, Who's Next? Quadrophenia. Those albums came out in a row. 4 albums in a row. Get those albums, and you'll know that. And really, and then maybe get a greatest hits or something, and you'll have the Who pretty much figured out. Live at Leeds, one of the best rock live albums ever, but nobody was as powerful as the Who, man, in their prime. Roger Daltrey, nobody sang like him. And we've talked about on the show before, people who singers who interpret other people's songs, like Dionne Warwick sang Burt Bacharach songs, and people that interpreted other people's songs, in the rock world, nobody did it better than Roger Daltrey interpreting Pete Townsend lyrics. You would think he wrote it. And he had all the emotion into it, and what a voice in his prime. Now we're turning it into a ballet. I will not go see that. I'm a completist, so if Pete Townsend's on the soundtrack, I'll probably buy it. But I will not go see a ballet. Oh, I saw The Who perform Quadrophenia in its entirety 2 or 3 times, and it was unbelievably good. And that's my rant of the day right there. And I will bring it up again tomorrow with all my music people. Frank will be here. Diane will be here. Paul Esposito. Later in the show, we'll be joined. All right, so let me do that again. 11 o'clock tomorrow. So, all right, so today we're done for the day. There is no, no, I take that back. Steve Squared, tonight at 6:30. There is no treading water today. Steve Squared at 6:30 tonight. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., Coffee with the Dog. 11 a.m., this show. Tomorrow night, I think there's another Let 'Em Cook. We got a great response from that show last week. It was recorded. This week it's live. That'll be fun. The Who went from ballads to ballet. Yeah, exactly. Roger Daltrey's on first. Ugh. I always wanted to see Pete Townsend in a tutu. Yeah, so Let 'Em Cook tomorrow night. There is no Hershey and the Keegs this week. So, so this show tomorrow at 11, Frank, Diane, Paul Esposito. We'll all be sitting here at 11 o'clock. At 11:30, we're going to do trivia. At 12 noon, Stuart Marcus will be joining us, and Jason Chapin will be zooming in, son of Harry. I think he's done the show once before. He'll be joining us again. So that's the schedule for tomorrow. On Wednesday, Mike Kaplan and I will be here with Greg Halverson and his friend and sometimes partner in film projects. Valerie is her name. Thursday, and of course, Coffee with the Dog every day this week at 9 a.m. Thursday, we have Frank. Frank will be back with Mike Piniella, great musician, funny guy. Oh, and we have Circling the Drain Thursday night. We have my True Crime Obsession this Thursday, and my Primal Scream with Nick Greystone. Those shows are on this week, so that'll be fun. And then Friday. Friday is me and Andy with hopefully some people from our show our stand-up show this Friday. Irene Bremis, Tony Landolfi, Mike Pachetti. Hopefully some of them or one of them will join us. So lots of great stuff going on here on Gov's Comedy Club podcast. It'll be a fun week. Please join Knockem Dead Comedy. Go to knockemdeadcomedy.com. Check out our website. See our schedule and what we got going on, as well as information on how you can hire us for your event. And, of course, govs.com. Go to govs.com. Make your reservation to some great comedy shows. This week at Governor's, you can see Sean Donnelly, the Uptown Comedy Show, Nikki Smiggs, Anthony Rodia, Joey Cola. Just some of the shows you see on the Governor's stage this week. And, again, don't forget, Clash of the Islands. This Friday, here at Governor's in the Giggle Room, Mike Pachetti, Greg and Rob, Tony Landolfi, Irene Bremis. Going to be a great night. Please join us for that. Please. Joey Cola, as we mentioned. Joey Cola at McGuire's this Saturday. Don't forget, July 25th, please support our own Andy Plajanos. He's performing in the Laugh Off. He needs attendees, and he needs people to vote for him so he makes it up to the next round. Excuse me. That's Andy Plajanos at McGuire's, July 25th. Joey Cola, August 3rd, playing the main stage here at Governor's Comedy Club. August 8th, our own Mark Hirschman, Stand Up for Epilepsy Night. Chris Monty will be a part of that show. I'm doing 5 minutes myself. That'll be a fun show. Of course, don't forget in September, Knockem Dead Comedy, a night of audience interactive, hilarious murder mystery show. This is a redneck wedding. Please join us for that September 27th at the Brokerage. The very next night, here in the Giggle Room, a Triple X Trivia game show night. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then the very next week, Gov's Comedy Club Podcast presents the Down and Outs. I'll be hosting that night, featuring Nancy Parker. And our headliners are the Down and Outs, Claudia Sherman and Gretchen Kammer. That's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun show. And then in November 2nd, Mike Pachetti and Friends, Clash of the Boroughs, Staten Island and Astoria. We got Johnny McDonald. We got Karen Krentz, one of my favorites. We got Greg Criticos, that son of a bitch. He'll be headlining. That's November 2nd. December 21st, another Murder Mystery Night with Knockem Dead Comedy. It's also the Redneck Wedding, this time out in McGuire's in Bohemia. So we got a lot of fun stuff on our schedule here. Go to govs.com to make reservations for all these things. We expect to see you at all of these shows. Hi, Gina. We're about to leave, but thanks for checking in. Hope you're well, Gina. Haven't talked to you in a while. And that's everything. That's all we got. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Monday. If you're in this area, stay inside, man. It's freaking hot out there. Yeah, I'm going home. I'm turning on the AC. Yeah, I'm probably just going to turn the AC on. I'm going to start cleaning my basement. I have not cleaned the basement up since my flood. It's all, I mean, the water's all gone, and we took care of all that. But as far as, like, you know, putting things back and throwing out stuff that's damaged, I haven't done that yet. So maybe I'll do that today. We'll see. Or I might just sit in front of the TV and scratch my balls. All right. So Steve Square tonight at 6:30. Coffee with the Dog tomorrow morning at 9. And then we're back with a bunch of people in this room filled with friendly people tomorrow at 11. Please join us. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you later. Bye, everybody.